the initial incident report right here, dated February 15, 2010. And reading these officer notes, it doesn't read like a crime scene at all.
No.
It's like a moment just frozen in time.
Yeah.
You got this house in Fallbrook, California. Inside there are bowls of popcorn on the futon, eggs on the counter like someone was about to cook.
The dogs are in the backyard, but there's no sign of the family. Joseph, Summer, and their 2 little boys, Gianni and Joey Jr., they're just gone.
Vanished. And for nearly 4 years, this whole case was filed as a missing persons investigation. The main theory wasn't foul play. It was that they just decided to leave.
Which is just wild to think about now with everything we know.
Right. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack exactly how this narrative shifted. We're going to look at the forensic trail that took investigators from a family that ran away to Mexico to a quadruple homicide.
And we have a mountain of sources, police affidavits, court testimony, some really detailed forensic reports. But you're right, we have to start with that initial theory because on paper, the evidence for them running away seemed, well, it seemed pretty convincing at first.
It really did. So just 4 days after they disappear, the family's Isuzu Trooper shows up.
Abandoned
In a parking lot
Yeah.
in San Ysidro. And for anyone who doesn't know the area, that's literally walking distance from the Mexican border.
Exactly. And police pull surveillance footage from the pedestrian bridge at the border crossing.
I've seen this clip. It's super grainy, But you can make out 2 adults and 2 small children. The shapes match. The timing fits.
And when they search the home computer, they find searches for things like passport requirements for children and Spanish lessons.
So you can see how they built that story.
Oh, absolutely. Car at the border, a family on camera, computer searches. To an overworked detective, that just screams voluntary departure.
But the family, especially Joseph's brother Michael, they were saying from day one that this was wrong. I mean, Joseph had a successful business.
Earth-inspired products. He made these beautiful custom water fountains. They just bought this house. People like that don't just leave their dogs in the yard and walk away from their lives.
And their money. The bank accounts were never touched.
Not a dime. But that runaway theory, it held on for almost 4 years. Until November 11, 2013. That's when everything changed.
Yeah, this is the big turning point. We shift from Fallbrook to the Mojave Desert, Victorville, about 100 miles away.
A motorcyclist is just out riding in this really rugged area, and he spots something.
A bone.
A small human skull. When police got out there, they found 2 shallow graves, and inside...
The entire family.
Yeah.
Joseph, Summer, and both boys.
And the autopsy reports we've got here are just brutal. This wasn't an accident. This was blunt force trauma to the head for all 4 of them.
They found a 3-pound sledgehammer buried with the bodies. I mean, that is a horribly personal weapon.
It's unbelievably violent. And this discovery, it finally kills that runaway theory and turns this into a full-blown homicide investigation.
So now investigators have a real timeline, and they can start looking at who was in Joseph's life.
And that circle of trust, it shrinks really, really fast. It tightens around one person, Charles Chase Merritt.
Joseph's business partner. The welder who actually built the fountains that Joseph designed. They were supposed to be close friends.
Merritt was the last known person to see Joseph alive. But as soon as investigators looked at the financials, that best friend story just crumbled.
Yeah, it wasn't just that Merritt owed Joseph money, which he did something like $42,000. It was what happened right after the family went missing.
This is where the digital forensics are so damning.
Oh.
The day the family disappears, February 4th, Merritt starts writing checks to himself from Joseph's business account.
Using QuickBooks. And he's not just writing them, he's then going back in and trying to delete the records.
He cashed over $21,000 worth of fraudulent checks in just a few days.
And where did that money go?
Straight to the casino. He went on a gambling binge. While the McStay family is desperately searching for their loved ones, Merritt is losing thousands of their money at the slots.
That's a clear motive right there.
Yeah.
Greed, gambling debt. But the defense made a good point. Being a thief doesn't automatically make you a killer. They needed a physical link.
And they found it back in that Isuzu Trooper. See, Merritt had told police very clearly, I have never driven that truck.
A really bad lie to tell.
A fatal one, because forensics found his DNA on the steering wheel, on the radio knob, and this is the key, on the gear shift. You don't leave your DNA there from the passenger seat.
So that puts him in the car that was used to stage the whole disappearance.
Right. But the really big fight in court, and maybe the most fascinating part of this, was the cell phone data.
The pings.
The pings. On February 6th, 2 days after the murders, Merritt's phone pings off a cell tower way out in the desert. near Victorville.
Right near the burial site.
Exactly. Now, the defense fought this hard. They said, in 2010, those towers had a huge radius. He could have just been driving on a nearby highway.
Which is plausible, I guess.
It is, but the prosecution layered it. They showed the ping in the desert, and then another ping later that same day back near the McStay house in Fallbrook. It painted a picture of him driving to the disposal site and then returning to the crime scene.
Speaking of the crime scene, let's talk about the house. Because this is the part that just doesn't add up for me.
The lack of blood.
Exactly. You kill 4 people, including 2 small children, with a sledgehammer. That is a messy, violent, high-velocity event. There should be blood everywhere, but the house was clean.
And that was the defense's main argument. How could this brutal murder happen inside the home if there's no biological evidence of it?
So how did the prosecution counter that?
With paint.
The house renovation.
The house renovation. Remember, Joseph's body was found wrapped in a woven blanket? Well, investigators matched that material to a futon cover that was missing from the living room. But the real key was a piece of clothing. Summer McStay's bra.
This detail it's just so chilling.
On the bra, they found a paint stain. Now think about it. If you're standing up painting a wall and you spill paint, it's going to drip vertically, right? Pulled by gravity.
So it runs down your shirt.
The paint drip on her bra ran horizontally across the cup.
Meaning she was lying down.
She was lying on her side when wet paint got on her. It suggests she was already on the floor, incapacitated or dead, right there in the middle of all the renovation supplies.
Wow. And they found paint on the sledgehammer too, right? That matched the house.
They did. And blue painter's tape inside a towel that was buried in the grave. So even without blood, they used the renovation debris to tie the house directly to the graves.
So we've got the motive, the DNA in the car, the cell pings, and now the paint. It feels pretty overwhelming. But the defense, they didn't just poke holes. They pointed a finger directly at Joseph's brother, Michael.
Yeah, they really went after him. They tried to frame his behavior as suspicious. After the police released the house, Michael and his mother went in and cleaned it.
But again, you had to think about the context. The police are telling him his brother took off for Mexico. I mean, if my brother just abandoned his house, I'd probably go clean it too.
Of course. But the defense argued he was destroying evidence. They also focused on a comment he apparently made about looking for 2 shallow graves before the bodies were even discovered.
Which does sound strange. Why 2?
It is strange. The defense claimed it was guilty knowledge. The prosecution said it was just a horrible coincidence, a dark figure of speech from a terrified brother. The jury didn't buy it.
And the other guy they tried to blame? Dan Kavanaugh.
Had a perfect alibi. He was in Hawaii. Pretty hard to be in 2 places at once.
So it all comes back to Merritt. And not just the physical evidence, but his own words. He gave interviews to CNN and the police.
He talked way too much. In one interview, while the family was still just missing, he kept referring to Joseph in the past tense. He was my best friend.
That's a classic linguistic slip.
It's a huge tell. And he told police he was definitely the last person to see Joseph alive. An innocent person can't know that for sure. Only the killer knows when the timeline ended.
Because he's the one who ended it.
That's the implication. So the jury sees all this, and in 2019, they find him guilty on all 4 counts of murder. He was sentenced to death.
But even with a verdict, there's still this huge logistical question that hangs over the whole case.
Yeah.
How?
Right, and this is what's so hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about one man, Chase Merritt, who had a bad back.
And the prosecution says he, alone, killed 2 adults and 2 children with a sledgehammer, somehow managed to not leave a drop of blood for forensics to find.
And then he transports 4 bodies. That's an incredible amount of dead weight. He loads them into the trooper, drives 100 miles into the pitch-black desert.
And digs 2 graves in that hard caliche soil. That would take hours.
Back-breaking labor. Then drives all the way back, ditches the car at the border, and just goes home. The sheer physical effort required is staggering.
It almost makes you wonder if there was an accomplice.
Many people do. The second man theory is out there, someone who helped with the lifting, the digging. But there was just no evidence, no other DNA, no other suspect. Merritt was the only one they could tie to it.
So we have a resolution, but not really a complete picture. We know who and we know why for a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
But the mechanics of how he pulled it off, that's the part that's still so deeply disturbing.
It's a paradox. Meticulous cleanup at the house, but then a sloppy panic disposal in the desert. It just doesn't quite fit together.
It's a true tragedy. An entire family just erased.
But in the end, the science did its job. A DNA swab, a cell phone ping, the physics of a paint drip. They finally spoke for the family when they couldn't.
That's it for our deep dive into the McStay family murders. It's a tough case, but a powerful lesson in forensics.
Indeed.
We'll see you for the next one. Take care.